Good evening, dear students. Myself, Chodak Parsi, Assistant Professor of Commerce, GLGC Cortical. In this session, I discuss about legality of object and consideration. Here, in the legality of object, when consideration and object is unlawful, that is very important for 5 marks. According to section 23, when consideration and object is unlawful, this is very important. Here, before going to that, what is the legality of object or lawful object? Lawful object or legality of object is one same. Legality object is at another requirement for valid agreement, for valid contract. Very important. So, for requirement, it is a good requirement as it is offer acceptance and consideration and contractual capacity. Lawful object or legality object is also very important requirement or rules or essential element for valid contract. A contract must not only be based on mutual assent, means free consent of the competent parties, but also have a lawful object, means that contract must have a lawful object. If the contract does not have a lawful object, automatically it is come to invalid and also it is void. One of the essentials of valid contract is that consideration and object should be lawful. Very important essential rule. Consideration and object should be lawful or legal. Every agreement which the object or consideration is unlawful is void. ಯಾವ agreement consideration the object unlawful is ಅದು void ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Therefore, section 23, according to section 23 of Indian Contract 1872, the circumstances when the consideration or object of an agreement is not lawful. This is very important for under what circumstances or what cases or what situations the consideration and object of an agreement is not a lawful, is unlawful or illegal ಅಂತ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ 5 marks. So there are so many cases are there, so many circumstances are there and so many situations are there. In these situations, consideration and object of an agreement must not be lawful. Here, the purpose of the agreement very important. Who are entered by the both the parties of the agreement. The purpose is unlawful. The agreement come to void. If both object and consideration of the agreement is must unlawful, must not a lawful, is automatically come to void. If those object and consideration of the agreement must be lawful or legal, the agreement or contract must be valid in the eyes of law. Therefore, here very important under section 23, when consideration and object is unlawful, ಅಥವಾ what are the cases or situations or circumstances consideration or object is unlawful. ಇದು very important for 5 marks. ಯಾವ ಕೇಸಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ 5 ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ 5 ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. If that agreement is forbidden by law, if that agreement is permitted to defeat any provisions of law, if it is fraudulent, means agreement is fraudulent, if it involves or implies injury to any person or property of another party, the court regards it as immoral or opposed to the public policy. These are the 5 to 6 points are there. Now one by one discuss ಮಾಡೋಣ. If it is forbidden by law, means who are entered by both the parties of the agreement, that agreement object is forbidden by law, means violate the law, violate the act ಅನ್ನು ವೈಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇವ್ರು ಏನು ಅಗ್ರಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ರೆ ಅಂತಹ ಅಗ್ರಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರೇಷನ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು ಲಾ ಅಥವಾ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂತೆ ಏನಾದರೂ ವೈಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಟೋಮೆಟಿಕಲಿ ಬಿಕಮ್ ವಾಯ್ಡ್. ಇಫ್ ದ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆರ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಅನ್ ಅಗ್ರಿಮೆಂಟ್ is doing of an act forbidden by law or violate the law or break the act, automatically the agreement come to void. This is the first situation. The object is illegal. ಯಾವಾಗ forbidden by law ಅಂತ when it is punishable by the criminal law of the country, for example, ಯಾವಾಗ forbidden by law ಅಂತ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. When agreement, when that agreement it is punishable by the criminal law ಪ್ರಕಾರ punishable ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಅಂತ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಎಂಟರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ, when it is prohibited by special legislation, suppose through legislation ಪ್ರಕಾರ ನಿಷೇಧ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, when it is prohibited by the special legislation or regulations by the competent authorities under the powers derived from the legislation, at that time it is treated as that agreement is treated as forbidden by law and automatically that agreement come to void. So when the agreement is violate the law or forbidden by law, automatically that agreement is come to void, not valid in the eyes of law. Therefore, ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂತೆ ನಾವು ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ, ಅದನ್ನ ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಸಹ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ. when something is forbidden by law, an agreement to do is unlawful. ಯಾವಾಗ forbidden by law ಅಂತ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, the agreement is unlawful. It is an unlawful object, not lawful object. An agreement to do what has been prohibited by the Indian Penal Code (IPC) or by some other law cannot be enforced. ಏನು ಲಾ ಪ್ರಕಾರ, ಯಾವುದೇ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಪೆನಲ್ ಕೋಡ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಯಾವುದೇ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಯಾವುದೇ ಲಾ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ನಿಷೇಧ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅಂಥದನ್ನ ಎನ್ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಎನ್ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಇಲ್ಲಿಗಲ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಒಳಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದ ಅರ್ಥ. ಸೊ ಎ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಟು ಪೇ ಸಮ್ ಮನಿ ಇಫ್ ಎ ಕ್ರೈಮ್ ಆರ್ ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಮಿಟೆಡ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಎನ್ಫೋರ್ಸಬಲ್. ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಫಾರ್ಬಿಡನ್ ಬೈ ಲಾ ಅಂತ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. If the law prohibits, even the promise says that a man would marry a woman after his wife's death, such a promise is not enforceable because it is a what you call the object is illegal. See, it is just example. If the promise says that a man would marry a woman after his wife's death, ಅವನು ಒಬ್ಬ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ, ನಾನು ಹೆಂಡತಿ ಸತ್ತಾಗ ನಾನು ಮದುವೆ ಆಗ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು, that is illegal. It is illegal object. Breakup of marriage, it is encourage immorality. That is what we call very important one of the example. And also an agreement for sale or purchase of smuggled goods, it is also violate the law. Therefore, if any agreement is forbidden by law, it is automatically that agreement come to void. It defeats the provisions of any law. Provisions means rules. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಲಾಗೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟ ಪ್ರಾವಿಷನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ವೈಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, ಡಿಫೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡದೇ ಇದ್ರೆ, ವೈಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, at that time that agreement come to void. If the object or consideration of an agreement of such nature that if it is permitted, it would defeat the provisions of any law. Defeat means violate ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, ಲಾ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಲಾ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡ್ದಂಗೆ, ಪ್ರಾವಿಷನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡ್ದಂಗೆ ಇವನು ಅಗ್ರಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ, ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗಲ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ದಟ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರೇಷನ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗಲ್ ಅಂತ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಆಟೋಮೆಟಿಕಲಿ ಕಮ್ ಟು ವಾಯ್ಡ್. ಇನ್ ಸೀತಾರಾಮ್ ವರ್ಸಸ್ ಅರಿಯೂರ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು 1911 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಫಾದರ್ ಪೇಡ್ ಸಮ್ ₹8,000 ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂತೆ ಒಂದು ಕೇಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಇದು ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. to induce her to adopt his son, it was said that this payment was the nature of bribe. ಇದು ಬ್ರೈಬ್ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂತ ಒಂದು ಏನು ನೇಚರ್ ಅಂತ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಈ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ನ. such was illegal according to ಹಿಂದೂ ಲಾ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗಲ್ ಅಂತ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ agreement between the husband and wife to live separately is invalid. ಮದುವೆ ಆಗೋದು ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಬಿಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ, ಆದ್ರೆ ಅಗ್ರಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ದ ಹಸ್ಬೆಂಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ವೈಫ್ ಇಬ್ರು ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಆಗಿದ್ರೇನಪ್ಪ, ನಾವು ಮದುವೆ ಆಗಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಬಟ್ ಇಬ್ರು ಸಪರೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡೋಣ, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ವ್ಯಾಲಿಡ್. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಫಾಲೋ ದ ಪ್ರಾವಿಷನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಲಾ. ಪ್ರಾವಿಷನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಲಾ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ವೈಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಒನ್. ಥರ್ಡ್ ಒನ್, ಇಫ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ fraudulent purpose, means who are the parties entered into the agreement, that object or consideration is fraudulent purpose, means who are the parties who are entered into the agreement, they are entered into the agreement for the purpose of to commit a fraud. Fraud ಅನ್ನು ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಅವರು ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ, that agreement is come to void. That agreement is come to void. An agreement which is fraudulent, an agreement which is defraud to others, is unlawful object, is unlawful consideration, and it is become void. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ರು ಮೋಸ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಡಿಫ್ರಾಡ್ ಟು ಅದರ್ಸ್, ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಗೆ ಮೋಸ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಆದ್ರೆ, ಮೋಸ ಮಾಡುವ ಉದ್ದೇಶದಿಂದ ಅಗ್ರಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ, that is unlawful object and it becomes to void. Therefore, an agreement to avoid competition with one another cannot be considered either fraudulent or opposed to public policy. Therefore, if any agreement entered by both the parties that aim or object is fraud or what you call that to defraud others, that is unlawful object and illegal object or consideration, automatically it becomes void. Then fourth one, if it involves or implies injury to any person or property of the another, means who are the parties who are entered into the contract for the purpose of to injure to any person or property of that person, automatically come to void. Andre A and B is entered into the agreement to what is called injury to C. C na injury ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ A ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ A B ಹೇಳ್ತದೆ, ನೋಡಪ್ಪ ನೀನು ಈ C ನ ಇಂಜುರಿ ಮಾಡು, ಡ್ಯಾಮೇಜ್ ಮಾಡು ಅಥವಾ C ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಡ್ಯಾಮೇಜ್ ಮಾಡು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. that involves injury to the person or property, it is automatically becomes void, unlawful ಅಂತ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. Injury means harmful to the person or property ಅಂತ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. That's why if the consideration or object of agreement is cause an injury to the any person or property, of that person, that agreement is come to unlawful and also become void. Fifth one, if the court regards it as immoral, court ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆ who are the parties who are entered into the agreement, the consideration or object of that agreement is immoral to the society, is not moral to the society. ನೀವು ಅಗ್ರಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಆಗಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಮಾರಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ immoral to the society. Society means country, ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದಲ್ಲ ಅದು. If the consideration or object of an agreement is regarded by the court to immoral or oppose the public policy, that agreement come to void. ಅಂತ ಅಗ್ರಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ಲಾಫುಲ್ ಅಂತ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಅಂತ ಅಗ್ರಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಲಾಫುಲ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಕನ್ಸಿಡರೇಷನ್ ಗುಡ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಆಟೋಮೆಟಿಕಲಿ ವಾಯ್ಡ್ ಅಂತ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. therefore if the court regards it as immoral to the society, it as not moral to the society, it is opposed to public policy, automatically come to unlawful object, and unlawful agreement come to unlawful and come to void. The term immoral means what? Immoral covers sexual immorality. Sexual immorality is one of the example for immoral. Interference with marital relations. Interference with marital ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮದುವೆ ಆಗಿರೋ ಮಧ್ಯೆ ಇಂಟರ್ಫಿಯರ್ ಆಗೋದು. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎ ಅಂಡ್ ಬಿ ಮದುವೆ ಆಗಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಎ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಬಿ ಸಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, is entered into the between A and B and what you call divorce for these persons. That is immoral to the society. Such acts are against public policy and good morals. Public policy ವಿರುದ್ಧವಾದ ಒಂದು ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. These are all immoral to the society ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. And last one, sixth one, ಆರನೇದು, where the court regards to opposite public policy. court ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆ those are all who are the entered into the agreement, these are uphold the public policy. what you called moral to immoral ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ oppose the public policy ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸಾರ್ವಜನಿಕ ಹಿತಾಸಕ್ತಿ ವಿರುದ್ಧವಾಗಿ ನೀವು ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಆಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಅಂತ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯ ಪಟ್ಟರೆ, that agreements are unlawful object and come to immediately void. If the court regards an agreement is opposed to public policy, that agreement is void. Public policy is not capable of any precise definition. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವುದೊಂದು precise definition ಇಲ್ಲ. Public policy means policy of the law at the state time. ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ಲಾ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಇದೆ. Therefore an act which is injurious to the interest of the society is against the public policy. ಸೊಸೈಟಿ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂತ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಇಂಜುರಿಯಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು against the public policy ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, oppose the public policy ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. If an agreement is prejudicial to social or economic interest of the community, it will be against the public policy and to enforce such agreement. Therefore if any parties who are entered into the agreement that is oppose the public policy, automatically it is unlawful object and come to void. For example, for oppose the public policy, these are examples for this: agreement to stifle prosecution, agreement of maintenance child property, trading agreement with enemy, marriage brokerage contract, agreement tending to injure the public service. So these are one of the examples of what you called oppose the public policy. Agreements oppose the public policy. ಇದನ್ನು ನಾನು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಸೆಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾನು what are the agreements which are oppose the public policy separate ಆಗಿ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. Therefore dear students, today in this session I discuss lawful object. In this lawful object, what you called under what consideration or what is the object is when the object or consideration illegal or unlawful treat ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಅಥವಾ under what cases or circumstances or situations the object or consideration come to illegal ಅಂತ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ ಈ 6 ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ಬರಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾವುದು ನಾನು ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ, if it is forbidden by law, if it is what you called oppose, if it is violate the provisions of any law, if it is fraudulent to purpose, if it involves implied injury to any person or property, if what you called court regards immoral, and if court regards what you called oppose the public policy. In this situation this is object is illegal and unlawful and utter with that agreements come to void. That is for 5 marks. Then in next class I discuss regarding what are the agreements which are opposed to public policy. Thank you.